we have the Director General of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria live here in the studios to give us a sense of what's really going on in that sector. And that's Segun Ajayi Kadri, who is the head of all the entire management of the Director General of MAN. Good morning. It's good to have you.
Good morning.
Thank you very much, sir. This is a very important, a lot about telecoms, but we need industrialization, we need manufacturing and all that. So a few days ago, the Senate was screening the central bank governor, and part of the comment which was attributable to the man was that, look, there's a lot to be done. He said that the economy will be rough and tough road ahead, and do you think manufacturing or industry plays a major part in clearing that path and making us have a greater economy?
Absolutely. I mean, there's hardly any country in the world that is wealthy, that is not industrialized. So part of bringing the necessary recovery to the Nigerian economy is basically manufacturing. I mean, we create wealth. The most sustainable way to create wealth, actually, and to get people employed and the nation moving on is to have a sector that is productive. And that is where you find manufacturing. So I think the distinguished lawmakers are right to express concern about how we are going, and the central bank governor was on point on some of the issues that it is, especially those ones that will support the manufacturing process.
You're an industrialist yourself, so I'm sure you wear the shoe and you know where it pinches. Oftentimes we report what you call the monthly PMI, what you call Purchasing Managers Index or Manufacturing Index, and this comes from the central bank and another independent one from an investment firm. What's your view on the reading of this index, what you call the Manufacturing Index? And do you guys think, at MAN, do you think, you and your colleagues think, yes, this is a good way to measure what's going on in your sector?
Certainly, yes. And that informed the decision we took and started with the first quarter of 2019. We are measuring the confidence of the CEOs in the manufacturing environment, which we call the MCCI, Manufacturers CEO Confidence Index. What we are basically looking at is how manufacturers feel about that sector in the overall context of the Nigerian economy. We did a study in the past that indicated that you needed to know how an investor feels about the sector in which he's operating. So we decided to launch this process, and essentially it has thrown up the issues that surround the sector. We, for instance, under the MCCI, are looking at those factors that directly affect our businesses. We took a diffusion index analysis, which is internationally acclaimed to measure economic activities. And we looked at the business environment. We looked at the production levels. We look at the employment rate. And we see how this responds to what government is doing. So essentially, we are looking at a situation where it will be possible for governments to know what it needs to do in the next 3 months to make the sector more viable.
So what does this new report, what does it really reveal? You did a study, you did a survey, then you have the first edition.
Yes.
So give us a summary of that new report.
Essentially, the aggregate point that expresses how manufacturers feel is about 51.3 points, which means that the sector is still struggling. And the major components of this has to do with the business conditions, which is currently indicated as 45.5 points. We also have the one that measures unemployment conditions, which sadly is 38 points. But if you look at all of this, it paints a gloomy future. Then when we ask manufacturers, what do you think about the production level? It's actually 65%, which means that even though we have this parlous situation, the future, that's the next 3 months, looks bright to them. And what they are saying is a situation where during this transition period, government refocuses on the measures it has taken to improve the environment and makes them work. The average manufacturer is expecting that there will be a reflation of the economy, and the unsold stock that we have will be pushed to the market. You earlier on mentioned about the PMI, which has usually, hovers around 57 points and so on. But one thing that we feel that the central bank, for instance, should include is the unsold inventory that continue to build up in the manufacturing sector. Yes, access to forex has improved. Yes, there are many orders that are being made. Yes, the manufacturer's output has improved, but it's not being sold. So there may be a likely event of a backward movement in the PMI over time if those unsold events are not disposed of. So our MCCI, it's going to add to the body of knowledge that will enable institutions like the CBN to take additional look at the conditions that they have not been looking at.
We've talked about this for years, and that is inadequate electricity or energy. But how are you industrialists getting by? If you look at some companies, Nestle and a few many others, they keep Nigerian breweries. The numbers look good. And people say, well, if electricity is still a major problem, how come they're coming out with some decent numbers in manufacturing sector?
That shows the strength of the manufacturing sector in Nigeria. We persevere. It means that in spite of the challenges, some industries are looking for ways and means to overcome them. And when you remove those challenges, you can imagine what the output will be. For instance, manufacturers spent more than 225 billion for alternative source of energy. When the cost of electricity is high and when it is not available, what you are doing is you are constraining productivity. You are increasing the cost of production. You are making the products that will eventually turn out to be more competitive, especially when they are relating with or they are competing in the market with those that come from low-cost economies. So it is still a major challenge. It is just that in spite of all these challenges, you still have some manufacturers that are able to make progress, but it's actually at the expense of the masses as well, because the products that they turn out could have been cheaper if the cost of electricity, which is very high, either you source it by yourself or you even get it from PhD, and that is when it is available. It is still high.
So between power and bad roads, so which one is becoming a bit more problematic? Because you can buy a generator and just power it by diesel and all of that, but you've got to move your goods. So even if you tar the road in front of your factory, in Agbara, I'm not sure you can tar all the way to Sangwater, all the way to Diroko, to Apapa. So you can only do as much within where your factory. So even if you want to tar roads, you can tar all the roads across the country. So do you think road infrastructure is becoming a major item of problems here, of a risk here for your sector?
Yeah, it certainly is. And in the order of the challenges that confronted manufacturing since last year, and even in the first 3 months of this year, power came first. But following closely also is infrastructure. Basically, if you can talk of the access to the ports, which also connects with the roads. It will take you almost close to ₦1 million to get a container from Apapa port to Agbara industrial area. And that is just because of the gridlock. Because the guy who is moving your containers will tell you have to pay for daily use, not just to go and bring your consignment, because he might be on the road for a week or 2 or 3 in some cases. So roads becomes a major challenge. Let's just take an instance. Assuming that the rail that is built from Kaduna to Abuja is connecting the port and industrial estates, the roads will automatically be freed of the cargoes that you bring in, of your containers. And then it will be quick. It takes, I think, about 2 hours or so from Kaduna to Abuja. If that's all it takes for you to move...
But between Apapa and Agbara, which is all between Lagos and Ogun State, takes days.
4, 3, 2 weeks, depending on how lucky you are.
So perhaps we could have just built the that first, take care of that first.
Absolutely. It depends on where you put your priority. And I think you should put it where the multiplier effect is enormous for the economy.
So you think we need to, you think we need to rethink a bit of this, other rail lines that we're building, not just with Lagos, but perhaps to other parts like Port Harcourt on a...
Absolutely. Connecting the industrial nerve centers.
The economic zones.
Yes. I think that's absolutely important because even in our study, we discovered that some manufacturers feel, I think about 60% in that survey indicated that the expenditure, government capital expenditure, did not favor manufacturing in the sense that it didn't affect those factors that you improve their business in roads, even in water supply. When we abstract water by ourselves, some states require us to pay for it, even though government did not provide the water. And I'm talking of big numbers. So government expenditure, especially capital expenditure, should be focused at improving the productive sector, such that the multiplier effect on the economy will be high.
In terms of cooperating, how much cooperation exists between MAN and a few other agencies in the manufacturing, industrial relation like Chamber of Commerce, NASIMA, and the rest of them? How often do you folks meet, rub minds, and perhaps talk to the government?
Yes, I think on that we have done very well. We actually have a forum that we call the Organized Private Sector of the Economy that consists of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, NASIMA, NECAD, NASMI, and NASI. We have a group, we meet at the level of the president, the DGs, and the technical committees that harmonize our position for outreach to government. And we have used that as a platform to engage government. However, I will tell you directly that there is need for this synergy to be built upon and for government to pay adequate attention to the issues that are being raised.
When you folks meet next time, maybe you just have a heads up about that. I think we need to hear more that you folks are meeting, and these are your positions to the government. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
You need to get back to the factory.
Yes, thank you
very much. Even weekend is industrial production.